Hey everyone, today my video is going to be hopefully a quick one and hopefully without any complications one of upgrading our well pressure switch right here from 20 to 40 psi switch to a 30 to 50 psi switch. We've had 20 to 40 in our house for a long time and just have kind of been afraid of upping the pressure, but I think we'll be safe going up to 50. Most of the plumbing is certainly sound enough to handle that as long as the previous owner's joints were good. I think I'll be in good condition. So I have actually something that I got many years ago when we bought the house. It's a 30 to 50 square D pressure switch. See there, 30 to 50 psi. We'll place our 20 to 40. Hooks up exactly like the other one. So we are going to go through this process step by step to drain the system, get this wired in, and then getting our pressure tank up to pressure where it needs to be, and then restarting this and hoping that we've got a new higher pressure system installed here, which everyone would be very thankful for, because if anyone knows, 20 psi is really low and it's not great for washing out your hair, especially when you're on the next floor up and further from the well here. It's quite low. So we're gonna get started. I'll show you what I've done so far, which is not much, and then we'll dig into it. All right, so first things first, tell everyone in your family to use the bathroom so they don't have to go while you're working on this, because they'll get one flush each, or one flush on each toilet, and that's all you're gonna get. So I went over here to my breaker for my well, shut my well off, and then I went around and opened faucets. You can see this one is wide open here, opened some by the bathroom, and other places that are close down here to where the well is. You see I've got these open over here. Both of them are open here. And then I went up to the upstairs and I opened one on top kind of as a vent, so that will kind of let the water get out quickly. Did that, drained everything down to zero, and actually even at the well tank, I opened the spigot there to drain that into the floor drain, so that'll be completely empty, so the tank itself will have no water pressure on it at all. You need to do that so you can get a good reading on your tank when it comes time to getting the right pressure before you refill the system. So the tank's down at square one where it's just the air pressure inside the bladder and the system is empty. So now we're going to move on from there. Like I mentioned, I got everything down to zero pressure. I even opened up this, ran a hose to the floor drain so I could drain it out completely. Now the tank has no water in it. It just has air pressure in it, and when I did put pressure gauge like this on it, it came out about 18 psi, which is where I wanted it, because what you want to do is set your tank air pressure to be 2 psi less than your cut-in pressure for your well. Our cut-in pressure was 20. I had the tank set at 18 psi, so that was good. But now as we increase this by 10 psi, I'm going to have to get that pressure up to 28 psi, so we're going to do that later. For now, our next task will be getting this uninstalled. This is the old pressure switch that was 20 to 40 psi. We're going to pull that out and get it unwired, disconnected down here, and then get the new one installed. So first thing to do to get these off is you just unscrew this here. It's just a little keeper nut there. Pull everything out. And then if your setup is like mine, when the well power goes off, so does the power to these, but it's always good to check. So non-contact voltage tester here, making sure I've got no juice on any of these things at all, so it's safe to work on it. And something I did last time I did this project, and actually it wasn't that long ago when I installed this, I labeled all the wires so I'd know 1, 2, 3, 4, or left and right for black and left and right for white, so you know when you put them back how to do that. So what we're going to do next is just take out these connection points here, and there's a ground, 2 grounds actually there. We'll get those taken out, loosen this Romex threaded connector there, and then we'll work on getting it unthreaded from the water system. Okay, so here I am taking these wires off of this pressure switch. Something I want to point out, these screws in here, there's nothing keeping them in place, so you can just pull them right out. It's easiest to get the wire off that way, for me anyhow. That way I don't have to unbend it to get it out or rebend it to get it back in. The next one, I'll just be able to pull these out like this, completely remove it, slide the wire out, and move on. I'm going to keep these screws because I'm going to keep this pressure switch just in case, and it's actually a quite new pressure switch, so just that's the easiest way to do that for me. So I'll keep going, taking these out, trying to get things out of the way. All right, we got the wires out of the way, got the grounds disconnected, so I think at this point we're pretty much able to just get this moved out of the way like that. So I'm gonna use two hands to get this wire all forced through. Actually, maybe we can do it with one. Don't want to risk messing up any insulation, so I'll probably stop right there. But once I get this out of the way, then we're free to get underneath here to thread that off and get the new one threaded on. So we'll get these wires moved away and start doing that. Well, here's a classic complication. Wouldn't be a good project without one. As I'm trying to thread this apart here, I can only get about maybe an eighth of a turn before I hit my pressure gauge. So I'm going to pull the pressure gauge out too and rethread that in. Just make sure when you're doing all this work here, I'm holding the pipe, the small 1/2-inch pipe nipple with a pipe wrench so it doesn't go anywhere while I work on that nut right there for the pressure switch. You don't want to just turn the head and risk damaging it that way. So same thing with this pressure switch here. I'm going to use that little square bottom on it there. We're going to use that to take this thing out, and I'll have to kind of do the opposite when we install it. So I'll take the pressure gauge out, we'll install the new pressure switch, and then install the same pressure gauge, so we don't have any interference with that. So we'll zip that out. Just adds another step to the project, but shouldn't be a big deal. There we are with the pressure gauge off and the pressure switch off. Now it's just time to grab some pipe dope, clean up these threads, and reinstall. Alright, got everything cleaned up there. I'm going to be using some Great White pipe joint compound with Teflon. I've used before, it seems to work pretty well. Put some on threading here and install that pressure switch. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. Make sure I've got it 360 degrees around this pipe nipple here. Could also use Teflon tape if that was your preference was. I've had pretty good luck doing this project I did earlier, putting the tank in with this pipe joint compound, or pipe dope. I'm gonna keep using that. Stick with it. Alright, so now we're gonna thread on the pressure switch. Alright, so we got it all threaded on here. Looks pretty good there. Someone turned the lights off on me, I guess. So I'm always questioning how far to thread this stuff down, and I kind of just use this as a guide, the threading there, to line that up and see I'm about even there. A little bit high with the pressure switch, but I think I was before too. I don't want to go a whole nother full turn. I think that might be too much. So we're gonna hook it up like this and pray for no leaks and go from there. Alright, we got it all wired in here. Got the wires reinserted there and all the screws reassembled there as we had them before. So now we're going to move on to pressurizing this, the tank here. Like I said earlier, I checked the pressure, it was about 18. We want to go up to 28. I'm going to get my air compressor in the room here and fill it that way rather than try to hand pump that thing. I did try that with a bicycle pump, and it took a lot of pumps, and I got like 1 psi. So we're not going to do that anymore. Your pressure tank, whatever size you have, at the top somewhere there should be a Schrader valve like this one, used for filling the air bladder on top. So we're going to go ahead and check our pressure right away here. 19.5. So we got a ways to go. I've got the compressor next door here, charged up to about 50 psi. I don't need to go to the full, 140 or whatever it cuts out at, because that's just a lot of pressure on something that's not meant for that kind of pressure, really. So I got up to 50. We'll go ahead and throw some air in here and try to get to 28. That's the number we're shooting for. All right, we got it pressured up. We're at 28 psi, so we're in good shape here. We'll put the cover back on here, and then get that cover on there, and I suppose then we're ready to turn the water on and see what pressures we get here, and watch everything and see how the pump handles going up an additional 10 psi than it's done in a long time. So we will say a little prayer and go about that business. All right, here we are back at the breaker for the moment of truth here. I'm going to turn the breaker on, which will turn the well on, the well pump, and we will see what happens as it ramps itself up to 50 psi for the first time. I do have a faucet on the top floor furthest away left open so the air can force itself out that way. I also have one open down here in the utility room where I'm at just so I can kind of confirm what's going on. And I guess we'll see what happens from there. We'll have to see for leaks on the plumbing that we did, and then also see if we want to make any fine tuning on the cutout and cut in points on that pressure switch. So here we go. You hear the faucet over there spitting out air. So far I don't see any leaks here. It's a good sign. Here we are, we're up to 40 psi. So we're in uncharted territory here for this system. Still hear some air coming out to the faucet over there, but gaining up there. And the switch should cut us off here pretty quickly. We're at 52. Okay, so the cutout's at 54. I'm going to go ahead and reduce that a little bit. It's just an adjustment inside this pressure switch is all. So that's the next thing I'll do. I'll take the cover off and we'll just take a little wrench and we can turn that cutoff pressure down a little bit. Okay, so for adjusting the pressure, there's a note on the inside of the cover in here that says how to adjust it, which nut to turn, to go up or down, to raise or lower the cut in, cut out pressures. It also says it on the back of the package as well to adjust proper sequence. There you go. So I went ahead and did that. One thing to note when you are messing with this, now that the breaker's on, we have power here, so we gotta be careful with what we touch. But this nut right back here, you turn it down to increase the cutout pressure, and you release it counterclockwise to decrease the cutout pressure. And then this is the cut in pressure down here. You tighten it to, I believe, increase the cutout pressure, and you release it or turn it counterclockwise to lower the cut in pressure. So that's how you adjust this. I did adjust it a little bit and I got it right on. It's actually still about right there where it cut out. So it cut out at 50 and we're cutting in at 30. So we're in pretty good shape here. Much to my pleasure, there's no leaks there or over there. So we're gonna button this thing up and call it good. Now we just check around, make sure all the fittings around the house are not leaking, which I doubt they would be, but something to check on. And after that we get to enjoy a little bit higher pressure showers and that sort of thing in the house, and maybe our new faucet we put upstairs will also function a little better as well, with a little higher pressure. So that's it for this project. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and comment on it. Again, this is just how I do it, not necessarily what a licensed professional would do, but without that luxury, I'm left with figuring stuff out like this. So hope you enjoy it. Have a good day.